Which company could go out of business tomorrow and it would be to the betterment of this world? Privatized prisons. Glitter manufacturers. Express Scripts. The Church of Scientology? Someone should develop an app where you can scan a barcode and it will tell you if it's a Nestle product. By all the hate here, that app would soar. Any MLM bullshit. Ticketmaster. People of Reddit who are anti-weed. Why? I used to really love getting stoned, but eventually it got to the point where it just made me sad. That I felt like I had to get stoned before I watched a movie, or played a game, or had a nice meal. I hated that I had a real fear that if I stopped I wouldn't enjoy those things anymore. January 1, 2022, I decided to give it up. Ate my last edible and didn't order anymore. I was undoubtedly a little more of a jerk for the first week or so. But then I caught myself laughing at a show and had this introspective moment of clarity where I realized I was still watching and enjoying movies. I was still enjoying food and games. It's been juiced over a year now and I don't really miss it at all. And I just kind of feel dumb about how important it used to be to me. I miss the ritual of packing a bowl and the act of puffing on a pipe. But I don't miss being high. Truly. I still have dreams where I smoke cigarettes though. I don't think that will ever go away and I haven't smoked them in 5 years. Don't smoke cigarettes, kids. I'm against marijuana use for people with a still developing brain. There are many studies to show why. Personally, I find the lazy stoner type to be true in some cases and I find those people to be very annoying. I have some friends and family like this who stay high most of the day. It's a minority though, I am sure, so that doesn't really inform my general opinion on weed, but it is something I steer clear from when developing new relationships. And #X200B. Edit. Yes, feel the same way for drinking. My friends that smoke make it their entire identity. They used to have hobbies and were passionate about things. Now they're content with whatever and everything has to be about smoking. I'm only anti-weed for my personal consumption only. Why? Because I've smoked and eaten enough of it to put a down payment on 2 houses. I currently own less than 1 house. So I've decided to not use weed or any drugs moving forward to try and reclaim my life. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes. I'm done talking about weed for the day. Took me fucking years to shake off the years of weed I smoked. It's all personality. Not everyone that drinks becomes an alcoholic, but as a young kid I definitely was fed the line that it's not addictive and in a weird way good for you. Lots of pluses, but really did take over my life and personality. I'm not against weed itself, I'm against people smoking it in the downstairs history hall bathrooms. And making the entire downstairs smell like weed and then complaining about how no one likes them. What famous person is ugly hot? I once read Matt Smith being described as looking like a caricature of a handsome man. I'm going with the always classic Danny Trejo. They don't come any uglier. Or any more badass. Met him a couple of years ago at his restaurant in Los Angeles. He's also an incredibly friendly guy. Deliberately employs newly released felons at this restaurant because he believes that everyone deserves a second chance. And it's nearly impossible for them to get jobs anywhere else. So ugly hot and kind. Would Adam Driver qualify? I'm just here because the answers and descriptions people are coming up with are properly making me laugh. My favorite so far. Ed Sheeran is a bridge troll. Simon Cowell would look the same if you put his head and feet on backwards. Truly shows that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Cillian Murphy is creepy hot. Jerome Flynn as Braun in Got. What's something an elementary school teacher told you that was totally incorrect? I had a teacher try to tell the class that Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus were the only planets known to have rings. I raised my hand and added that Jupiter had rings too, but that they were so faint they were hard to see. She vehemently denied it, when I politely, yes, really, told her that I had just seen it in a book. She gave me detention for trying to correct her in front of the class. The next day, before class began, she approached me with an encyclopedia open to a page about Jupiter, and apologized. She told the class one was indeed right, and that it's important to listen and learn from people even when we think we are 100% right. One of the more wholesome moments I can remember from school in my youth. 6th grade. Me. But what happens when you subtract a negative number from a negative number? Teacher. You can't do that. Never forget it. In 4th grade we were learning about bats, and the teacher asked the class to name as many different types of bats as we could. I raised my hand and said, vampire bats, and he said name only real ones please. https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/vampire_bat. https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/vampire_bat. They are real. And I knew it. But he made me feel like an ass. A student in my class asked why we call it the 20th century when the year was 19XX. The teacher explained that most likely that a long time ago, probably in the Dark Ages, they made a mistake in printing a calendar. But by the time it was noticed, all the calendars had been made and sent out. So they just left it that way. I heard her say this and knew it was all kinds of bullshit. But I said nothing because I was a shy 4th grader and she was a hostile nun. I got sent to the principal's office for using the word plethora. The teacher thought it was a swear word. So did the principal. Edit. For those asking about a dictionary. Yes. They looked it up. And there is some obscure, arcane definition that means a swelling of a body part. This, of course, is the only definition my teacher knew. Not the extremely common one. I remember an elementary school teacher warning us to not accept apples on Halloween. 'Cause some people put razor blades in them. I mean, wouldn't you see the big fat cut on the apple? Who is the best SNL cast member of all time? Quite possible. It's Phil Hartman. No doubt, Phil Hartman. The one, the only, Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman. IDK about the best, but Norm Macdonald was always my favorite. How have your political beliefs changed as you've aged? The more I grew up and went through stuff, I understood how some people can fail at some point in their life, and it's stupid to just let everybody deal with it with no consideration. I was on the right younger, and yes, I managed to have a good career, but boy, sometimes I was really sure I was done. And if I had failed without people's help, I don't know how I would have survived. When I was younger, I hated the Tories. Now, I hate the Tories just as much. But now I understand why I hate them so much. Well, I'm 29 Russian. 10 years ago I was quite sure we have a good future. I remember Bolotnaya protests. So, I believed peaceful protests were a very efficient way to deal with dictatorship regime. Now it's a bullshit to me. People who think Theor nice poster with, "I want democracy," will change anything are quite naive. I was naive. I've seen police breaking bones of those who demanded peace. Now my country made me leave. My country want to take my real estate in Russia because I'm a traitor. And it's very naive this killers will stop if you will protest peacefully. Just the constantly growing feeling the entire U.S. political system is driven by bribery. Be kind to people, be ruthless to institutions. Michael Brooks. I've basically given up on the belief that there is a side out there that is speaking for me. At this point I just want them to leave me the fuck alone. And fix healthcare. What conspiracy do you actually believe and why? 100% believed Joe Jackson drugged Michael Jackson with puberty blockers to prolong his career. The one about chapstick tubes purposefully being round so they'll roll away never to be found again. A good chunk of AskReddit threads is from YouTubers and podcasters out there farming Reddit for content. I love the idea of Disney making Frozen so that when people search Disney Frozen, they'll see the movie instead of the theory Walt Disney's head was frozen and hidden somewhere in Disneyland. Ugly Sonic was a planned marketing move. There are breeding populations of cougars in the U.S. east of the Missouri River. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has maintained that the population went extinct in 2011 and that all cougar sightings since that point have simply been individual vagrants that have wandered hundreds of miles east of their breeding grounds. Subscribe, my brothers.